Hey, just to quickly show you really quick, this was my EOS trade. My initial stop loss down here had a 1.7% risk, so $1,000 trade, $17 risk. A $2,000 investment, you would have been risking 34 bucks. Potential upsides obviously dramatically higher, so you have a very significant RR, risk to reward ratio. So in this case, I wasn't too aggressive. I waited, I gave it some time, and now I just moved my stop loss up to my entry price, so now it's a risk-free trade. Put $4,500 in. If everything crashed, if EOS goes down 44% and Bitcoin goes down 18%, it doesn't matter. I walk away with the exact same amount of money I put in minus fees. Sometimes I'll modify my stop loss to be slightly higher to accommodate those fees to make sure that I really am 100% risk-free, but in this case, I didn't bother doing that. I just moved it to my entry price. Now, I'm not going to get into my support and resistances and why I moved it to where I moved it. That's something that I deal with Vader University. But I've explained before certain aspects of my Ichima model. I've talked about that publicly to an extent, so you can figure out how I made that trade work. I bring this up. It's interesting because I had released that video and I showed you how with TRX, my setup and why I liked it and what I was expecting and why I entered when I did. So it broke out of that symmetrical triangle just like I had anticipated. We're moving up now. So in theory, from the entry, it's up 1.4% now. So people always ask, should I move up my stop loss to be risk-free? Everybody's so anxious and aggressive, and they want to have a risk-free trade as soon as possible. In theory, I started with 1.85% at risk. If I moved my stop loss up to my entry price, it would be a risk-free trade. I can't take a loss. No matter what happens to the market, what happens to Tron, I can't possibly lose any money on this trade if I were to do that. However, you'll notice it's very common to see these long wicks, especially on certain coins. If you look at particular pairings, something like EOS might not have as many, but it does actually. EOS has a ton. But in this case, with TRX, we have a lot. Here's my vet trade that's up nicely too. I'm going to be moving my stop loss up shortly on that as well. I still haven't done so. But with TRX, in theory, you could move your stop loss up right now and make it a risk-free trade. Just so you understand why a trailing stop loss strategy and how using that type of strategy is beneficial, also understand the risks. If I were to move my stop loss up, one of those wicks could very easily come down and stop me out. If enough orders are filled at that particular point in time in that very short window, it can quickly dip down to just below that entry price where my stop loss would be, stop me out, I'm now out of the trade, and then it goes on to make a 20% profit, 20% run. So I'd be kind of pissed if I get prematurely stopped out. So for that reason, I'm going to play it conservatively. Chances are I won't move my stop loss up at all. I'm only risking 1.85%, which is fine as far as I'm concerned. It's not a very significant risk. I would probably wait until I pass something like this right here, maybe. This would be a potential target. I'm going to do a whole updated chart for the group, but you'll see a lot of prior trading right around here and a lot of support and resistance at earlier points. So that could be a good resistance to target. If this resistance breaks, then you move your stop loss up. So you want to wait until you break a resistance, because once you break a resistance, it becomes what? A support, right? Once you have that support, it's protecting your stop loss. So right now, if I were to move my stop loss up to my entry price, I wouldn't have any protection for my stop loss. It wouldn't be protected. I wouldn't have the EMAs protecting it, which serve as a support. I wouldn't have the cloud, which serves as a support, and I wouldn't have a prior trading range like this, support and resistance level, acting as a support. For that reason, I'm conservative. I'm not moving it up. I'm going to give it some time and see how things play out. Yeah, that's that. Good luck with your trading. Trade smarter, no better. Fuck Tom Cruise.